park. And I was like,
I don't know how I would stay home.
like, well, better be in my house
Mhm.
because just tear it apart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's way more arguing and fighting
Absolutely.
when they're at home.
Mhm.
Like, I almost
Good. Way to go, Kaylee. Appreciate that. Okay. Everybody else? Did we spend time with the Lord this week? Did we spend time with other people who spent time with the Lord and then we tried to get it vis-a-vis through them? You know what I'm saying? All the things?
All the things.
Okay, where are you studying right now?
So I'm doing a little bit of Proverbs,
Mhm.
and I just finished a Proverbs study with my husband's cousins, and then I'm also doing Job by myself.
Oh.
So Job is
So you're getting called a fool and you're sad.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anybody else studying in a cool place? Ezekiel? Okay, weird things are happening.
Studying the
Yeah.
major prophets this
Okay,
year.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
With your kids?
With
Or just you and
Well,
Jake?
right now just me, and then it'll be like a little mom group, and then it'll be with my older kids.
Okay.
In layers, so that I know what I'm teaching to my older kids. You know,
That part.
yeah.
I'm
studying it now for myself, so
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So then whenever your kid is asking, why was Satan wanting Moses' body? You're like,
That's the reason why I'm doing Job. So right now, his Landry's favorite book is Job.
yeah, he does tell me that all the time. Yeah.
He has read Job so many
It's one of
times.
my kids' favorites too, it's weird.
He's read it 8 times.
How do you
And,
say Revelation, you guys?
that's Brent's favorite. Maybe that's
Oh,
why they
I
love
need
each
to
other so
understand
much.
Revelation.
They're the best.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, I don't
Something about a
understand
helicopter
it.
is what I heard.
Maybe that's why they're besties, because they love Revelation.
That's
never know.
Anybody else studying anywhere cool?
I'm doing Exodus.
Exodus? Okay.
Because I'm doing the chronological order,
Okay.
so we're in the plague right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's a good time. That's a good time. Exodus is my favorite. Jude. Okay. Yeah, we just read Jude with the kids. Jude, that's where, yeah. But isn't that where they're arguing over Moses' body? Is that in Jude? Oh,
And Google it.
somewhere. It's in there. I promise. Okay. Well, if you're having a hard time kind of finding a place to study or what that looks like to study, or you're just like, this is super overwhelming and I only want to do it whenever I'm here, then I do have a live on YouTube that, remember we talked about the different, how I personally study. You can you can look at that and you can be like,
By the way, I did have one question.
What?
Because you were like, at the end of on this day, I read every chapter I've read so far. What happens when you're in a book with 48 chapters, girl? You there?
no, you use your noggin and you're like, I'm going to do 2 chapters before that. We're not trying to read all of Exodus or whatever, so yeah. But right now I'm in the Johns, so I have not crossed that issue yet. But yeah, that's a good question. But yeah, so, but anyway, so that's on there if you're looking for a way to study, or if you're just I just don't know. I know that you can message me. I know you can message Jenna. She's really good at that kind of thing too. Kaylee, there's lots of y'all in here. So reach out to somebody, because there's never going to be somebody who you message and you be like, bro, I don't know how to study the Bible. And her to be like, that's so embarrassing for you. Nobody's going to do that. Okay. Just ask the questions. So, okay. All right. So we are in chapter 25. I'm determined that we are going to get through this today, but my lesson's 23 pages. Probably not going to use all that. That's crazy. That's crazy. So what happened before this? Because what happened before this is super important for the lesson to really hit home with what happens today. I know it's been a while. I feel like when Park Week happens, it's been forever.
Chance to kill
Yes.
Saul, and he
You didn't kill Saul? Right.
didn't. And Saul was crying and oh,
We're besties now.
Yeah.
and David was like, I'm
Chill.
gonna go back to my what does he call it? Not the cave, but the
Stronghold.
stronghold.
Mhm, mhm.
And then
Yes. Yeah. So he had a chance to kill him, but instead he went out and he was like, my Lord, my King,
got face down.
yeah, he was like, hey, Dad, this is crazy work. Why are you doing this? And then he was even like, you know what, though? Let's let God decide. Let's let God decide, because he was so certain in the way that he presented it to him. He said, vengeance isn't even mine. Let's ask God, right? So it's really important to remember that that was David's character. That was where his head was. That was what he was thinking. The way that he handled hard situations is he was like,
Sorry.
Yeah.
And Saul finally said, and now I realize that you're surely going to be king.
Yeah.
So he's finally admitting.
yeah, yeah.
David.
And seemingly okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay, we had this
he
huge,
just was relieved he didn't die.
yeah.
He was
So-
sure, fine, you can be king.
Yeah, whatever. So he had this huge emotional response, and we talked about how like emotional responses don't always equal true repenting like actions. Like sometimes we just say we're sorry. We talked about like false conversions. Like we have the music's hitting just right, the smoke is going on the stage, we're in the church, it's giving us the goosebumps, and we are just telling the Lord, like, man, I just give everything to you, like, oh my gosh. And then we walk out of there and we're like, anyway, and we're like back watching like, I don't even know, like Love is Blind or whatever it is. Love Island, isn't that like the new thing? I don't know what it is. But okay, so important to remember all that while we're going in chapter 25. So let's start. Chapter 25. The question I want you to keep in your head, when I feel wronged, do I trust God to handle it? Or do I step in and fix it myself? When I am wronged, do I trust God to handle it? Or do I step in and try to fix it myself? All right, let's look at verse 1, chapter 25. Now Samuel died, and all Israel gathered for his funeral. They buried him at his house in Ramah. Then David moved down to the wilderness of Maon. There was a wealthy man from Maon who owned property near the town of Carmel. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and it was sheep shearing time. This man's name was Nabal, and his wife Abigail was a sensible and beautiful woman. But Nabal was a descendant of Caleb, was crude and mean in all of his dealings. So Sam dies, okay, which like obviously, right? Everybody's got to, but can anybody else, can we just focus on now? Samuel died, like the end, right? Like this great, big, mighty man that we have been studying, like, right? We started out with his mom crying out to the Lord for his birth. Like this is like main character, okay? And now Samuel died. Moving on. You know, like, can we just talk about the fleetingness of now Samuel died? And now we're going to get a little bit more, right? We talk about Samuel a little bit more. But when it comes to his death, it's just very like abrupt and sudden and almost like uninteresting.
I feel like that's almost like the way that the Bible talks about like the stars being made.
Yeah. I
love that it's just like, and then he made the stars also. Like, yeah, they're gorgeous and they're beautiful, but let's not like esteem them higher than they should be. Like
exactly.
Samuel was the one man, but we need to not make him higher. Like we need to not make big. I see. Because we do that.
Oh yeah. And so to me, whenever I'm reading that now Samuel died, they all gathered for his funeral and they buried him. And then what did they do after they buried him? I mean, it doesn't tell us, but what did they do? They went home, right? They went out about the business.
You don't think they have like a feast or something?
I mean, they probably ate. You know, there's always food after funerals. But like, what I'm saying is like the next day happened. The next day happened, and that's crazy. And it's really easy whenever it's like a distant thing, right? But then like the next day happened, and I know I bring this up a lot because it's just like, but like, you know, when I'm thinking about like recent in my life, like when Marley's mom passed, like the next day happened, and none of us were okay with the next day happening, right? We're like, no, the whole world is supposed to like stop, actually. Like, why is anybody else still doing anything? Like, that's rude. Stop. Everybody's life should be stopped. And so, but now Samuel died. And so we tend to, and I'm not, as far as Tammy's situation goes, but Samuel was a spiritual mentor, right? To so many people. They looked to him for so many things because Samuel was what? He was a judge, right? Yeah. He was the last of the judges. Yeah. And now that Samuel's gone, like that era is over, right? Like it was already over.
Like flags that have
right.
Like a day of no work. And
right. And so I'm sure that there were people that when Samuel died, they were a little unsure of what things were going to look like the next day, right? That's a little concerning. And this is where we need to stop and pause and think like, is our relationship with the Lord linked to somebody else? Is our relationship with the way that we spend time in the Bible linked to somebody else? I've been thinking a lot about like social media and stuff, and we get so enamored and almost worshipy of these pastors. And we like link adjust our biblical knowledge to what they tell us, right? And then we have to stop and be like, so am I getting my theology like from my TikTok algorithm, or am I getting it from the Bible, right? Am I learning because I scroll on a 60-second clip that has an earworm of the music in the background that like I really like, so I stay and I'm listening to this person say something that might not even really be biblically accurate, but I know their name, they got a blue check mark, and the music's hitting, you know? Like, I don't know, it just makes you think that if somebody was no longer, say a scandal comes out, right? Happens all the time. Pastors that we love and that we trust, a scandal comes out, and all of a sudden, pull him up, like, you're not going to listen to him anymore. Like, is your relationship with the Lord different?
Like if you're thinking, now how do I learn about God?
No, that part. No, seriously.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that. Have you ever had something in your life that went away and it affected your relationship with the Lord? This isn't like I'm not condemning you, because I have. I mean, we have like pastor worship is a real thing. It is a very, very real thing that your relationship with God is solely based on the words that are coming out of your pastor's mouth.
I mean, not just pastors though, like any
Mhm.
hierarchy character, whether
Yeah.
it's a person in a movie
Yeah.
or a celebrity or
I mean, it's a very real thing. Has anybody ever experienced that? Or are you experiencing it right now? Like while we're talking about it, can you think of maybe somebody you're leaning on a little more heavily than your own relationship with the Bible?
No, but I feel like this is kind of along the same lines. I often take like breaks from social media because it's exhausting. And when I'm like battling back and forth, like, should I fast from social media? But I'm not gonna like, how am I gonna know like new Christian songs come out, or I'm not gonna be able to see like if this. And, I'm like, that's. I think
Yeah.
that in my head. I'm like, just really sit down and read your Bible.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, but for the longest, that, not now, but, you know,
or like
year
you're
or two
gonna miss
ago.
out in a conversation because they're gonna know what they're talking about in your mouth.
Yeah, like,
It's
for
the
the
FOMO.
longest, that's how I was feeding myself,
Yeah.
was just because I followed a lot of
Mhm.
Christian influencers
Yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, I use that as like a reason in my head as to why I couldn't take a break.
Yep.
Because that was the only way I was getting fed.
Yeah.
But not anymore. So don't worry.
No, I think, is somebody at the door?
No, it's just open.
Can we?
I think for me, I kind of tied myself a little bit, not to a person, but to like the church, and thinking that me serving more at the church was my relationship with God.
Ooh, that's good.
Rather than me really spending time with God. I was like, well, God, I'm serving all the time. Like I literally, people
I'm so
joke,
spiritual.
we need to make like a room in the church for your family because you're here all the time. I'm like, yeah, you know? And I thought that that was me serving the Lord more and
Yeah.
doing more and having a relationship. But in that time, my husband was on staff at the church, and he said that was the driest time in his spiritual walk doing ministry. And when he was out of it, he was like, oh my gosh, God, I'm so sorry, because I thought that me working at the church
Yep.
was
Oh,
my walk with Christ.
Yep.
And I think we kind of tied it to that, and it shook us when that all ended, but it was such a God thing and a good thing, because we kind of felt that pull to like, all right, we're done. And then it was like, no, we're going to stay. We're fine. You know, we're going to push through this. And then God said, no, cut it off.
yeah.
And it shook us a little bit, but it brought us back to the heart of God rather than thinking that doing all the works was our relationship with God.
No.
So it was a good thing.
No, that's so good, because I've shared with you guys, like, I can 20 hours a week work to do a jam lesson and not spend really any time with God. They're two very different things. And yeah, that. Yep. Okay, anything else on that before we move on?
All right. We had a little different idea maybe of death is why they wouldn't mourn like we do. Like if we think, oh, we miss them, and but they saw it differently, where it's like, all right, he's with God, and you know maybe they just saw it differently.
Yeah, lucky him.
So they were like, good to go.
Yeah.
That's what Jacob says. When I die, I want to have like a party that I made it first.
Yeah, there you go.
last.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
It also sounds bad, but were they a little bit more desensitized to death too? Because it was just more frequent and common, like younger, older, it didn't matter. Like it was just people died all the time. Like wars were at their doorstep. Like
Yeah.
we
I don't
become
know.
so desensitized, I think, to death that it's like more clinical and it's a lot of like it's a grandparent and that's very sad. But and it's even like people dying overseas, with
Mhm.
military, with Memorial Day just happening, like that was a big conversation in our house about like it's not a happy day, it's actually a very sad day.
Yeah.
And like you're happy because you have a day off work, I get it. I'm not
Right.
bashing
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
like
Yep.
people have really forgotten what the day is about.
Absolutely.
And part of that is because you're so desensitized to well it's tough because like my husband did funerals at Arlington National Cemetery. He did Jimmy Carter's funeral. And so for him he's like, I saw the guys. Like I was doing their funerals. Like these were he's like, that could be me, right? And so for us, it has become, since that job has become very much more sensitive, but we were talking about how, like, desensitized to just death. It's even, like, with food, right? Like, if you bring a kid to a farm, like, they have no concept of, like, farm to table. Like, literally. Like, I think just back then, I think.
Grocery store made this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It might sound like, where did chicken nuggets come from? Like, but I think back then, everything was
Nobody
just-
really knows.
Yeah, but even, like, I think back then, everything was just present
Yeah,
in your life
maybe
all
so,
the
yeah.
time.
I mean, it says that all Israel gathered. Like, it's very brief from what it talks about, but it does say they all gathered for funerals. Like, there was mourning involved.
Oh yeah, there was mourning. Yes.
Yeah.
My point was more just like
Yeah.
if we are looking towards somebody for like
Yeah.
an anchor of our spiritual life, like they're gonna die.
Yeah.
You know? Like I mean, I had Johnny Mack and Bodie Baucham die like boom boom. That hurt my heart. Okay. And if you don't know John MacArthur and Bodie Baucham, look them up, okay? It just hurt me.
I just never called him Johnny Mack.
I was like, who's
I
I
don't
know,
know.
it took
Oh.
me a second.
And then you said John MacArthur. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I know who that is.
William, my husband calls him like, I was listening to J Daddy this morning. Like, we call him all sorts of things.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah, it's,
That is hilarious.
yeah, we love him.
I would
Okay.
not have gotten there.
So then David moved down to the wilderness of Maon. There was a wealthy man who owned property near the town of Carmel. He had 3,000 sheep, 1,000 goats, and sheep shearing time. Okay. And so one of like my favorite things to do, especially in the Old Testament, is to look at people's names because names like are super important. I've told you this a bajillion times. I did a whole series on it. Like go to the book of Ruth, look at every single name. It is so cool. It's so cool. So first is Nabal. Okay. Does anybody know what that means?
Well, you wrote it down, so I do.
Oh, did I? Yeah, I made those a long time ago. Don't know. So it means like what? Fool, right? Like he's a fool. And what does
His mom was like? Is that an inherited name? Like he was like people just call him that.
Daddy's
were like,
Yeah, yeah.
She was like a little sour.
The
You know?
what?
One translation of his name was Boar.
Boar.
Yeah, like pig.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Oh, I was like snooze boar
That's what I
or
was
like boar, you know? So, but it tells us that he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. So what that tells us that he's very wealthy. Like he's really very, very rich. Made him extremely wealthy in that culture. So this is not somebody that is struggling. This is somebody who is well known, right? Definitely in that town. Like he is probably the guy. A lot of influence, a lot of security, but we spend very little time on that part of who he is. Okay? Like not a lot of time at all. But we do get a lot of details about that he is crude and he is mean and he is like harsh, right? And that he's a fool. But when we hear the word fool, what do you think? Stupid,
Like,
Yeah.
right? Stupid.
Not a lot
Like,
going on upstairs.
yeah, like
Lights are on,
not very
lights are on.
intelligent, right? But when the Bible speaks on somebody being a fool, it's really it's a spiritual issue more than like an intelligence issue, right? They're spiritually dull. So it's not really about how smart somebody is. It's about how little of like scriptural truth that you know. You are a fool.
So you said spiritually dull.
Yes. Yeah. Psalm 4. Go ahead.
Psalm 14, it's Psalms about fools, says, fools say there is no God.
No.
Fool says in his heart there is no God. They are corrupt. They do
abnormal deeds, there we go. And then there's no good, there's none who did good. And then it goes on, but Psalm 14.
Yeah, Psalm 14:1 says, the fool says in his heart there is no God. It doesn't say that, huh?
My bad, I didn't know that was.
No, I love when that happens. That's good. That's good. So it says that the fool has chosen to like live a way to exclude God. Doesn't say that he doesn't know that God is real or that God exists.
Well, because like a lot of scientists who preach evolution,
Yeah.
fully believe, they are just refusing to.
Mhm.
There's the famous quote, I don't remember who said it. He said, God doesn't exist and I hate him. And it's like,
That's in the God's Not Dead movie. He's like, how can you hate somebody that doesn't exist?
oh, that was there too, but it was an
Yeah.
older, like.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's very interesting. Like you can't choose to blame somebody for the bad and give him no credit for the good. You know, when you claim that he doesn't exist.
But like, you hate him, even though you say he doesn't exist. So how can you make somebody that
Yep.
exist?
Make it make sense. So this makes like his description even more significant in all of the dealings that are going to come forward. So he's wealthy, but he's not wise. So he has a lot of things, but he has very poor character, right? Like this guy is not awesome. So, but he's very well respected in this community, and we can see that today. People who have a lot of money, a lot of influence, seem to really be able to have a lot of say-so in what's going on around us. We do tend to admire them, and not so much anymore. I feel like a lot of that's being called out for what it is, but there is that's just the truth. People with a lot of money and a lot of influence, like,
I wonder how much was his wife though too.
and well, I don't know. I
It's
mean,
like Proverbs talks
Mhm.
about a good woman
Yeah.
makes her husband more than he necessarily would be.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that is also Abigail, like.
possibly, but I mean, we do know that, women weren't exactly allowed to do a lot of talking around there. Like,
Well, talking isn't necessarily to do with that, but like if you come over to a man's home.
Yeah.
And he is very well treated when he comes over.
That's true.
Yes, you're going to be
That
more
is true.
respected and.
Yep.
Good service and all that kind of thing.
that is true. That is true. So we see this wealthy, successful man, and we can't help but think of like Luke 12. Anybody know where I'm going? No?
Give me one.
Not with just the reference. Megan.
Are you wanting us to like drink it?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me to drink to it. Tell me what to do.
Turn to Luke 12.
I know you're doing.
What are we looking at in Luke 12? What is Luke 12 about?
A warning against hypocrisy.
And the rich fool, right?
Is it easier to pass through the camera?
That is one. Yeah, that is one. But this one is, so Jesus tells the story of a man whose land produces abundantly, and his solution is to build bigger barns, store up more wealth, tell himself that his future was secure, yet God called him a fool because he spent his entire life investing on temporary things and neglecting the eternal ones.
So then when he died, it all went away.
It all went away. All went away.
What is what do you I think it's in Ecclesiastes. What does it say that we're
Meaningless.
Like, yeah, we're like something in the wind. I don't know.
Paper.
Vapor in the wind.
Yeah,
something
like
that's-
it's just,
Like chaff,
Yeah.
yeah. Dries away. Does
Yeah.
anyone know what chaff is? That's so cool to me.
I know it's like the outer husk or like the
Yeah.
part of
Wheat.
wheat. Oh, it's
Corn,
corn.
like whatever they would do, they would like grind it to get it off.
We
And
just
then they
talked
would
about this on
throw it up in the
Sunday
air and
Yep.
the wind would literally go.
Okay, anyway.
yes, you were. So yes, that's good. Good. So I have to tell you guys, yesterday, Marley and I took 24 donuts and we went down to Feed My Sheep area, and we walked around and we're like, you want a donut? You want a donut? Like this whole homeless community down there. And it was probably my favorite morning I've ever had in my life. Besides my children being born, I suppose, because it was pretty exciting. But like we walked around and just like, do you want a donut? Do you want a donut? We got to sit with these people, like just sit on the ground and talk to them. And you know what? Not one single person, I can't even tell you, we probably talked to 50 people. I mean, probably more. And not one of them asked us for money. Not one. Not one said, hey, you got a few dollars? Not one. Not one person made an inappropriate comment. Not one person, nothing, asked anything of us. Nothing. And you would think that I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I didn't feel, and a lot of that's just like personality, right? Because whatever. But I mean, I get a little bit more nervous walking into a gas station, you know, at a certain time, and there's no homeless people in there. But every single one of them that we talked to that were like, hey, well, do you need anything? They were like, no, we're good. We're good. And then I would be like, well, do you know the Lord? And yeah. And, you know, take that for what it is, because then we have lots of discussions with them. But there was one guy who I had 2 donuts left, and I gave him the box just of the donuts. And this other guy walked by, and he like grabbed at him, and he was like, hey, you want one of these? And I was like, whoa. Like, made me think, like, I literally would have probably hid that other donut in my nightstand because I didn't want my kids to have it. Like, not even kidding. Okay. And here he is homeless, and he's like, do you want one of these? And so I don't know. It was just really eye-opening to me that we can get so lost in all of the stuff that we have. And then you have people who have nothing, literally nothing. And we're asking them like, hey, what do you need? And they're like, but you know what? We did ask them. We were like, okay, so where has the church failed? Like, what can we do to like fill in the gap that's so obvious? And they were like, well, y'all do a great job feeding us, you know, and, you know, that's nice. And you bring us clothes and blankets and all that. Like, that's really nice. But like, nobody will just talk to us. And like, he's like, I just want friends. Like, so during the summer, we are going to be having a Bible study at the well once a week. So if any of y'all are, there will not be childcare. So I know that that's like going to be a decision to make, but just know if there's ever a day that you can come down, well, we will be there.
I was about to say, you said something about we get lost in like all the things that we have when they have nothing. I feel like we get lost in the idea of like, this is gonna sound weird, like who homeless people are. Like you said, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't like, we think, oh, or I'm scared that they're a bad person, and like what you said kind of proves that they're literally just humans. They're like, yeah, thanks for the food and the blankets, but can you just like
Talk to me.
can I just have some like genuine human interaction? And I feel like that's more sad than
Absolutely.
us failing to feed them or provide them clothes. Like,
I mean, because Feed My Sheep does a really good job. The well does a really good job. Like, they've got the food, they've got the clothes. But like when I sat down with my friend Eric yesterday, and he like reached over and grabbed my hand, and he was so excited that we didn't like pull away from him. Now, did I in my heart hesitate? And I was like, oh, our hands a bit, but we're doing it. You know, like we did it. And it was just, I don't know.
it proves that God created us for like relationship and connection. And I feel like that's
Perfect.
it's like such a beautiful example that not everybody gets to experience
Human
because they're not
connection.
putting themselves, like not experience human connection, but like we don't put ourselves in positions to get like that perspective of like that whole situation is just proof. Like people who don't put themselves in the situation don't get to see and get that perspective of like, oh, like it's not about all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just about the relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just ran.
No. And then when I was praying with him, and I was like, so how long have you been on the streets? He's literally laying on the street. Okay. He's laying on the street with his head on the curb. And I was like, how long have you been on the streets? And he said, I'm not on the streets. I said, Eric, you are literally laying on the street, man. And he's like, no. Like I got a room a couple days ago. And I was like, okay, well, what got you on the streets? And he was like, probably. So I was like, probably. And I was like, so what is your drug of choice? And he said, crystal meth. And I was like, well, when's the last time you used? And he said, about 10 minutes ago. I was like, you know what, Eric, I love your honesty. Like, very, very good. And so then Marley and I were like, would you go to rehab? He's like, right now? And Marley and I are like, absolutely, right now. Do you want to go? Like, I don't know where we're going. And he was like, probably not. 2 days. Give me 2 days. I was like, all right, 2 days, Eric. Like, so pray for Eric and hope that somebody takes him to rehab in 2 days. But it was just a very cool experience. So anyway, all of that to say, we get very lost in all of this stuff. It's very hard to have an eternal perspective. And so keeping that in mind for the next part of the lesson. So then in this contrast, we have Abigail, right? They describe Abigail as discerning and beautiful. So there are only three times total in the Bible that women are described this way. Does anybody know the other two?
Leah?
No, definitely not Leah. She was hard on the eyes, girl.
No,
Rachel. Okay, Rachel's one, yes. So Rachel, Abigail, and nope, not Sarah. Sarah was beautiful.
Mary?
Nope. You of all should know this.
You know, I know I should, but dude, I can't even see.
Esther.
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 Like, I can't. Like, she says, yeah, you know
Yep.
what? It's been a day.
So
Oh, no, I feel that deeply.
so Esther.
No.
And so we can Rachel, Abigail, and Esther. And so we could almost say that she is like top 3 most beautiful women in the Bible, right? Inside and out. She's wise, she's discerning, and she's beautiful. And so her beauty is mentioned, but it really, like, the emphasis of her falls on that she is sensible, that she is wise, all of these things. And so we're going to see these very 2 different characters here with Nabal and Abigail. And so they become like, I don't know, somebody brought up Proverbs earlier, like they become like this living illustration of Proverbs, like wise and a fool, wise and a fool. And we're going to see how their actions really do embody the wise and the fool. So I think it was pretty safe to say that Abigail probably did not choose Nabal for herself, right? I don't really think that would have been the one that she chose, but we can probably guess that maybe her family chose him for her because of his wealth and his stature, and probably his him being well known in the town. They probably thought that they were doing a very good thing, but yeah. So, okay, any thoughts on that before we move on? Verse 4. Okay. When David heard that Nabal was shearing his sheep, he sent 10 of his young men to Carmel with this message for Nabal. Peace and prosperity to you, your family, and everything that you own. I am told that it is sheep. Hold on, I'm so sorry. Will somebody read to verse 9, 4 through 9?
When David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep, David sent 10 young men, and David said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel, go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus you shall say to him who lives in prosperity, peace be to you, peace to your house, and peace to all that you have. Now I have heard that you have shearers. Your shepherds were with us, and we did not hurt them, nor was there anything missing from them all the while they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we come on a feast day. Please give whatever comes to your hand to your servants and to your son David." So when David's young men came, and they spoke to Nabal according to all these words in the name of David, and waited.
Okay, so sheep shearing season. Say that 3 times fast, because I'm definitely going to mess it up. Sheep shearing season. No. Okay, so this might seem like a little tiny detail, but to the original audience, this would have they would have understood why this was important, and they would have understood David's request a little bit better. And so for us to understand everything moving forward, it's important that we understand. So does anybody can anybody give me a better understanding of sheep shearing season? What does that mean? Anybody know? Oh yeah, they did that, but this was a big time of celebration. Okay, they had worked their butts off for these sheep, right? Keeping them safe, they were feeding them. So it was more than just being about the meat, but it was also about the wool. So if they had meat, they had wool, all of this stuff was happening. Okay, it is like cash money time. Okay, we are making big bucks over here. And when you've got 3,000 of these bad boys and then 1,000 goats, you got some money rolling in. Okay, it is barbecue season for these people, and they're able to sell the wool too. And so nothing is going to waste. So they're making a lot of money. Families in this time, it would have been celebrated. Meals would have been shared. This is a big deal. Okay. They see the fruits of all of their labor. It's kind of harvest season in an agricultural community. So we get to David. Did we get to his request? Yes. So we get to David, and what is David asking? Yeah. Yeah. And why?
Because his men helped protect all this.
Yeah.
This wouldn't have happened had
Right.
his men not been in that area.
Right. Right. So he's like, hey man, so glad all this is working out for you. I love this for you. We have been doing our part over here. And so it's important that we understand that David wasn't coming to this guy during like a famine. Okay, this was like
Yeah, there's abundance.
good point. Yes.
I guess I have a question. Like when I read this, it's like, but they didn't even ask David to. Like I'm sure,
That's a
sure
great question.
he was Nabal was just like, dude, I didn't ask for your help.
Yeah, that's a
Like-
great question.
It just as like on the other side of it, not again,
Mhm.
like again in our minds we're like, why would you not
Yes.
help David? David's the guy. He's the dude. We all love David.
I
Yeah.
don't know,
But,
I think
like,
this was culturally
was-
very normal.
Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah.
I was curious about. Like, was it just like?
Yep.
But was it anybody? Do you mean because he's not from their lands? He's not from like. It's not like he's in their village. He's not in their
Right.
home. Like I'm sure it was very normal that like, hey, you're my community. Hey, I'm looking out
Yeah.
for each other. Versus like someone coming from, again, afar.
Mhm.
They don't have Instagram. They don't know. Yo, David's coming. Everyone
Yeah,
watch out, right? The monks walk, like things like that.
Right.
So I do wonder if there was some like.
Understanding of what was happening. So when I read this, I was like, why is this giving mob to me? Like, hey,
Yeah,
I protected
exactly,
you. You need to give me
And
money.
then that's what I mean. Like
Yes.
it kind of comes in like,
Yep.
hey, dude,
Yeah.
I helped you out.
You're
He's like, I
welcome.
didn't ask for your help. Like,
Yep. No, it was very culturally norm, and it was going on for a very long time. Okay, this wasn't like, hey, I was hanging out for a few days and I protected your people. He very well knew that David and his men were
Okay.
protecting his 4,000 animals. Okay, that is not a small help. So he definitely
And
knew.
not for like a short period.
Yeah, not a short period of time at all.
Some things are like overly explained. And some
Yes,
things are
I
very
completely agree.
underexplained, And I'm just like,
Yep, I completely agree.
I
And
would also feel weird if someone's like, I was watching your kids in the street.
Yeah.
Why are you watching them?
Yeah, that's weird. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So, yes. So, okay, so this request that David is actually sending is actually really, really humble. Okay, because he could have went and he could have said, hey, been out here for a year. My men have done this and this and this. Culturally, it's acceptable that you give me like 30%. Okay, that sounds about fair to me. You know, I got a lot of men and we did a lot of things. And so we could have been doing other things to make money, but we weren't. So this is pretty normal. I think that's what you owe me. But that's not what he said. He went and he said, what you think is fair.
Culturally, it like, or did you just?
I just said 30. That's just what
Okay.
came out of my noggin.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like that felt appropriate. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
But like
Oh, she
he
was
could have went with a number. He could have came and he could have been like, actually, give me 60%. Like he could have said all of the things. He could have started high to like try to get him to the middle, you know, but he didn't. He didn't even come in there demanding anything. He said, just give me what you think is reasonable and fair, right? So, and he also could have went himself. He could have went and flexed his position and demanded these things, but he didn't.
See, I thought that part was weird. Like,
And-
if you want something, like, ask it for like yourself. Why are you sending somebody else to do it?
But it would have been seen very much as like an intimidating factor. Like, you're going to do this, or all these people over here are going to take care of it. So it was very much a humble thing. And I think that's why anytime we're reading the Old Testament, anything, especially for the parables, always look at the culture of who Jesus was talking to. Always look at the culture of who the original author
So it's
and
not
the
weird
original
to us
audience.
that they understand.
Absolutely. I mean, you can look at like the parable of like the 10 virgins, like that to us is weird, not them. They would have understood exactly what was being said, right? So, okay. So it's very important before we go on to this next part that we recognize that David's request was very humble. It was very normal. He was not asking something crazy, and it was very much assumed that something should have been given to David. Okay. So any thoughts on that before we move on? We are on verse 9. Okay. David's young men gave this message to Nabal and in David's name, and they waited for a reply. Who is this fellow David? Nabal sneered to the young men. Who does this son of Jesse think he is? There are lots of servants there these days who run away from their masters. Should I take my bread and my water and my meat that I've slaughtered from my shelters and give it to a band of outlaws who come from who knows where? So David's young men returned and told him what Nabal had said. Get your swords, was David's reply as he strapped on his own. Then 400 men started off with David and 200 remained behind to guard their equipment. Oh, snap. That's wild. So they give him,
hesitate. He's like,
no.
rude. Get your sword.
Yeah.
I love it. Not love, but like I noticed like everyone who belittles David.
Calls him son of Jesse.
Son of Jesse.
Yep.
Who is this guy?
Son of Jesse. Yep.
Well, why does he say in verse 8, right at the end there, he says, please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them? Like, your son?
David.
Isn't that same verse? That's what mine says.
Oh, see, mine says friend.
Oh.
I would assume by saying son, meaning like I am younger than, I am like under, he's trying to like humble himself to a different level. He's not trying to say like, hey, you need to give me who's like totally just like annihilating people. I am who I am. Like I am the king's son-in-law. Like I think he is just trying to humble himself to that level. Mine says friend. I'd be interested.
Okay.
Maybe like circle it and do a little like deep dive in there. There you go. Because if you find out something different, let us know.
This is what I think is so cool about like,
Yeah, you see it cool. I see it very unnerving.
well, so yes,
I'm like,
I guess it's to me cool of just like how
Yeah.
we got to where we are.
Yeah.
Partially is because of that. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was listening about Jimmy, who loves history and stuff. He was listening about Jimmy Carter, and he was talking about the early Baptist church in the South and how each was their own standalone
Yeah.
church, and the new pastor was always from within the congregation, and the congregation voted on everything.
Mhm.
Any decision of the church was voted on. Everyone had an equal vote,
Mhm.
and that's like obviously not how most Baptist churches function now. And just like again how things changed, but that's why each one had kind of developed on its own so differently because they took everything to a vote and everything was internal.
Yeah.
So again, it's just to me.
It is pretty
coming
crazy.
from being a Catholic where everything's just like the same, and you're just told like this is
Yeah.
the answer, this is what you're doing. The deviations, it's like very interesting to me how there are so many spread. I
Yeah.
guess, like, things.
Yeah.
Makes
And
sense
it's,
why things spread though, because one church will look at that and be like, son, this is important. And then
Yeah.
it's like, friends, this is very
Yeah.
important. Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
it becomes very, you don't
Yeah.
know what the pillar is gonna be
Yeah.
for their sermon, which then shapes what that congregation's learning.
Is being
and
taught,
what they're being
100%.
taught.
Yep.
So,
Yep. That's why it's so important
unnerving,
to-
but interesting.
Yeah. Right.
This version even just reads, please give whatever you find at hand to your servants and to your son David.
Yeah.
Hey,
Whatever you got extra, man. You know, we're not,
You want your shoe on?
it's fine. Whatever. We're
Give me your
cool.
pocket change, please.
Yes. And so, but then we see the response from Nabal of
No.
who is David? Who is this son of Jesse? So it's not even that he's asking like, hey, I don't know who this guy is, because he obviously does to call him the son of Jesse, but he's saying, who do you think you are? Excuse me. Who do you think you are coming and asking me this? Interesting that he didn't say, who do you think you are, when he was protecting your 4,000 animals, but okay. So, but everybody knows who David is. Okay, he's the military leader of Israel. Like this is not, he is not an uncommon name, but he is saying, who does he think he is? So he even goes a little bit further and he calls him a runaway servant. So, and this is meant to completely humiliate David. Like we're doing everything we can to shoot David in his identity to make him seem like disloyal and just nothing. We're trying to just get him down to nothing, that he's a man without honor or legitimacy. So anyway, so then we see how Nabal is a fool based on his response to being asked to be generous. A fool is not generous. So that is taking us back to our biblical definition of a fool, which is someone who, what did we say a fool is? Spiritually dull. Okay. So if,
Doesn't fear God.
right. So if a fool is never generous, that would mean that being generous is an attribute that you get from knowing the Lord. And he does not have that, because what does he say? He says, my bread, right? What else is mine? My bread, my water, my meat that I've slaughtered for my shears to give it to a band of outlaws. It's mine. Everything is mine. Mine. Exactly. So he is completely godless. Everything is his. And so this is where it starts becoming way less about Nabal and way more about us, because this is a mirror. Because biblical generosity is rooted in the belief that I have so much is not rooted in the belief that I have so much extra that I can give you, but generosity requires you to hurt a little bit. Okay, does anybody else struggle with this? Be honest. Do you struggle? None of you struggle with tithing? None of you struggle with tithing?
So on tithing, like my husband and I had like discussion. He wants to tithe on like everything he was supposed to get versus
Oh.
what actually hit our account.
Oh.
And like
So he wants to tithe on gross.
Yes, he does.
Oh, have you seen how much Uncle Sam takes though?
Then
Oh,
what
we struggle,
happens
we
in
struggle.
tax season, because then you get a lot of that back, so do you tithe on that then? Or,
And that's a whole discussion.
we've had the same
we
discussion,
have.
Yeah.
that's why,
Because I'm like, oh,
so we just
Yeah.
I
tithe
don't
on
know.
what we get.
Yeah, we actually kind
Yeah. Okay. What are y'all's thoughts? How do you get to the headspace that none of this is mine anyway? Yeah. Because if we're saying that about our money, because honestly, for some people, it doesn't bother them to give money because they have it, right? Or they have a plan B. Money isn't a hard thing. Maybe it's your time.
I was about to say, mine's my time.
Maybe it's your marriage. Maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's your hobbies. None of it is your time isn't yours. Well, I deserve me time.
I think what's helped my family with Tyling is we've gone through some really hard financial times
Mhm.
where we, whether it's like in between jobs or whatnot, and no matter what, like even when our bank account hit zero, we always had food on the table, roof over our head, and we just got to the point where we're like, okay, we've been through this before, and every time
It's been fine.
God takes care of us and
Yeah.
provides. He provides exactly what we need. Maybe nothing more, but
Yeah.
it's exactly what we need.
Yeah.
And so then when we have, when we have money coming in again, we're like, well, you know what? Like it becomes easier, I think, after just going through those times. And I'm like, well, he's gonna provide no matter what, so
Yeah.
I don't need to cling to this.
Well, it only becomes easier if you're obedient. So that's good. Like, good for you. Like, I truly mean that. I don't know how to say good for you without it sounding sarcastic. I really mean good for you. Like, in your obedience in that, because you can still, like, sometimes, I mean, I can see God show up over and over and over and over, and I'm still like, I just don't want to be in that position again. You know? Like, I mean, I grew up with nothing. Like, I grew up watching that. And so, like, I struggle. I'll be real honest. Apparently, none of y'all do. And that's great.
No, I still have thoughts. Well, I could do a lot with this money, but I'm like, no. I try to
No,
shoot
that's
out
so
of
good.
my head.
That's so good.
There's been times where we have like maybe forgotten to tithe or something, and it's like all of a sudden everything just goes crazy.
Crazy.
And Jake will be like, did we forget to tithe?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like that. But also there's a struggle with people who make a lot of money because they're like, oh gosh, I have to tithe so much. Like,
Yeah.
I've heard people say, well, I just give a little bit of money because the church doesn't need that much. If I tithe, that would be a lot of money. I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah.
It's too much money.
Yeah.
Tithe, but
Mhm.
that's 10%. So
Mhm.
it kind of goes both ways, where you have nothing and give it all, or you have so much that you feel like,
Mhm.
a tithe is gonna be so much money.
Yep. No, I had to set up our tithe on automatic withdrawals. That is how little I trust myself, because that's just honest. Yeah, nope, that's what I had to do. So, okay, but what else? Okay, so not money. What do you think is yours? Is there something that you guys struggle with saying, like, this isn't mine anyway?
My kids.
Your kids? Yeah. Yeah, so what areas, what does that look like? Like, what areas do you try to just make yours?
In, I guess, just every little aspect of wanting my kids to do certain things or be a certain way or whatnot. And Jake is, I went through pregnancy where I thought I was miscarrying. It's like, hey, this is your child anyway, giving that to God, where you don't cling to that and think, this is my baby. Like, no, God, it's yours.
Yeah.
So, it's hard.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody struggle giving their time?
I was gonna say, like in regards to like generosity, thinking I feel like I'm selfish in a way, because you said like biblical generosity is supposed to hurt and be like kind of an inconvenience,
Absolutely, yeah.
And I sometimes avoid like putting myself in a position to help. And I'm thinking, and I'm revolving it around my time and my kids, because I don't want to be inconvenienced, because if it inconveniences my kids, I don't know if that makes sense. So like,
Yeah, no, it
if
does.
somebody's like,
They can even nap,
like,
sorry,
if,
can't be there.
yeah, like if after Bible study you were like, hey, can you, but like, hey, can you stay in a helpful pose? Be like, I have to go take a nap. Because the kids, because if they don't take a nap, my whole day and the days following are ruined.
Terrible.
And
Yep.
so, just if anybody, I tend to avoid having to help serve or help people. Not because I don't want to, I do, but like, is there any other way I can help you?
Yeah.
That doesn't inconvenience my children, because I don't want my life to be harder.
Nope, I get it. I was disobedient about homeschooling for the longest time because I didn't want to give up Criminal Minds. Not even kidding. I just was like, when am I going to watch my shows if they're home all day? And I was right. I don't ever. It's a thing of the past. But okay, so then we see the men are like, okay, we're gonna go tell David what you said. Be right back. And so they go and they give David this message, and David says, get your swords. Okay? What a wild response from David. Right? Does this response surprise us?
Yes, Anna.
Does it surprise us because it's David? Because like, same. I'm like, what? Get your sword.
It just seems really
We're
quick.
going.
Like,
Like I could like ask God several times. Like, you sure? You sure?
You sure?
You sure?
Right? So there was no inquiring of the Lord. There was no like, hey God, this was really rude. My men are like hungry. What should I do? There's no Uma and Thumas happening. Like there's nothing. Okay? There's no like grab the ephod. Where's the priest? Nothing. Okay? The same guy who felt guilty about cutting a little piece of a robe is like, I'm gonna kill this guy. Okay? And y'all are coming with me. And y'all are gonna kill people too.
I haven't read ahead. Don't let us do that.
No, you can't. I'm just saying. Just say spoiler alert.
But like, it doesn't necessarily sound like he's instantly gonna kill, which obviously we haven't read ahead, so he might be. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Guys and their swords, Sam's gonna be a lot more willing to put their hand in their pocket to get
That's true. Either way, is his response righteous? Or is his response angry?
It sounds much more.
It sounds much more angry, right? He says, strap on your swords. Hold on, where are we? So he straps on even his own, and 200 remain behind to guard their equipment. And so he is going and he is mad. Okay, he doesn't stop to pray about it. He doesn't do anything like what he had done with Saul over and over and over. And so there was a little part of me that's like, maybe this was just like the last straw. That he's like, do you understand how many times I have been kind? Like,
And
I'm done
also,
being
like,
kind.
you were so rich. You were so
Yeah.
like we.
Yep.
You know.
And so when I read this, my sinful self is like, finally, David, like, finally, you are going to like say it with your whole chest and like stand up for yourself a little bit. Like, go, like, be a man, David. You know, that's my sinful self is saying that, right? If we're in 2026, like, I'm writing a social media post.
But going back just a little bit, it almost, I had it in my notes, that it was almost like when David went, like whenever he's asking like humbly, it was almost like they had like a positive relationship like leading up to that. Because he didn't come in and just be like demanding. And it was
Well,
like,
that's a good point.
like, especially since he's known that he's been watching them, like
Yeah.
maybe that they did have like a mutual like, respect for each other. Like,
Yeah.
Like, hey, like,
Or at least an
watch
agreement,
them,
like-
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, like, hey, it's time, and they're like, hey, then we're gonna do this, and then it's like,
Says no.
Never mind.
or he turns to me, or like they say like, oh, like I'll do this for you. And
Yeah.
Then when
I don't know what you're
like,
talking about.
like repay,
He doesn't do it.
yeah, and then maybe that's out.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But either way, we have taken this insult, right? Because the men came back and told him that, hey, he called you son of Jesse. And he's like, who the heck are you? And he said no. So David hears this as an insult and he reacts, right? He doesn't take any time to actually respond. He just reacts. And so this is not a very shining moment for David. Okay. Like I said, if this is 2026, we are blasting him on Facebook. Okay, we are taking that insult and actually I'm going to sell all your business now, right? Nabal, you're probably bald and you're rude and I'm probably going to talk about it, right? Like when we get insulted, we respond, right? We respond rudely. And then like we see that he's like fully surrendered this area with Saul. But very clearly, he has not surrendered his full pride, right? We understand that when we feel insulted, it's because we have a pride problem. So there isn't ever a time that somebody can insult you, but if you are insulted, it's sinful because you have a pride problem.
Can you say that one more time?
If people insult you, that's their sin issue for sure. But when you respond because you're insulted, it's a sin problem. Because what does Jesus tell us about insults? To turn the other cheek, right?
Yeah.
When Jesus tells them to turn the other cheek, he's not saying like, hey, if someone like roundhouse kicks you to the face, you need to give them the other side. That wasn't even about anything physical. It was about insults.
Right.
He's saying if somebody insults you and like slaps you in the face with an insult, you are not to respond. Let me tell you, I am not good at this. Okay? No, I was recently super insulted. Okay? Super duper insulted. Like if I'm pretty sure if he knew my maiden name, he would have brought that up. He would have called me son of or daughter of Roy or whatever. I don't know. But like super insulted me and my ministry and everything that I work for, like degraded. And I will tell you. No, I can't even say. I was going to say I think I handled it pretty well, but I didn't. I was insulted. And I allowed that to fester and to turn into anger. The amount of posts that I typed up to send on social. Ooh,
You saved in your breath.
yeah, the Holy Spirit deleted them. He said, no.
How much? I always get stuck on like the humanness in this, which is obviously awful. But like, yes, if we get insulted, then it's I understand that. But then how much of it is like we're just human, and that's like really freaking mean. And not that you're like full of pride over your ministry, but like you're excited and proud of like what God has done for you. Proud in a good way, like.
Where should my heart go when somebody sinfully insults me?
Praying for them.
Straight to maybe sorrow for them, because when Jesus was insulted over and over and over, mocked, humiliated, oh, King of the Jews, all of the things spat on every over and over and over, what was his response?
What they do.
Forgive them, they know not what they
So is
do.
it okay to feel insulted, but it's just the response?
The response, right? Like you can be like,
Oh my God,
man,
you're not
no,
insulted.
you
Like,
can
that
be
was me.
hurt. But eventually, over time, with spiritual maturity, the hope and the prayer is, Lord, don't let me be angry at this person. Don't let
Become
my
insulted less often.
feel whenever it's what your response is to being insulted. I would work on. I don't want to feel insulted. I want to feel sorrow for the person who is doing the insulting, because there is clearly a relational issue between them and the Lord if they are spewing out nasty things.
Like, and eventually, like when something comes at you, your response is like, man, I'm so sorry you feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, you just become,
Not to like bounce off.
Yeah.
yeah, it becomes
Yeah.
where it doesn't touch you.
Yeah.
Reminds me like
I wrote a book on this topic called The Fate of Satan.
I've
It was so good. It talks about like Satan using offense, like getting
Yeah.
offended, to get a foothold in it. But it was so good. And it was like so inspiring. It actually like helped me realize like offense that I was holding against certain people who had wronged me. And it helped me to like finally let that go.
Yeah.
But it was on this like topic and it was so good. I recommend it.
Is it short?
Like, I don't have time to read a long one.
Okay. All right. I'll do it.
I didn't read it like it took me.
Took you a while.
It
Yeah.
took me
reminds me of
time
like
because,
an oil
you know,
slick versus
babies.
like a sweater. It's like if you're just wearing your clothes, it's gonna soak right in. But if you have an oil slick on, it's gonna like roll right off your back.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that it would be crazy to think that we never have a feeling towards people being ugly. Like, you can have a feeling. What is your response to that feeling? We can talk about all sorts of temptation, okay? Being insulted gives you a temptation. You acting on that temptation is what is sinful, not you being tempted, right? Jesus was tempted. He never acted on the temptation.
I think it's also like reflecting, like they're attacking you, but it's like, okay, but is what I'm doing like good? Does it have merit? Does it
Right.
like, are they attacking me just to attack me?
Like, why are they?
Yeah, like why are they attacking me? Do I still stand by what I'm doing? It's kind of like I've heard the
Are they
expression,
onto something?
just because you feel shamed or just because you feel ashamed doesn't mean you're being shamed. And it's I saw it on a lot of mom posts where it's like you make a decision, and just because you feel ashamed and you're like, and then it becomes more of like, okay, but reflect why. Like, why do you feel ashamed? Just because some mom said, again, this is like a mom post, like just because one mom said like,
Too much
this is
screen
what I'm
time.
doing with
Yeah.
my kid. And again, you see it on mom posts all the time where people are like, I can't believe that you're doing.
You're
this,
mom
this,
shaming
like,
me.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, and it becomes this whole mom shame where it's like, no, just because you feel ashamed, you
Right.
should look
Maybe
like
you're just
introspectively,
shameful.
like why did you have that feeling?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've tried to use that even with like if someone's attacking me, it's like okay, do I just feel attacked because I hate being attacked, or is it like okay, is there maybe a nugget of truth there that I need to reflect on and be like, okay, well maybe I didn't handle the situation well, which
Right.
then in turn they got nasty and like that's I can't control that, but like
It's like, is it mom guilt or is it conviction to do better?
yes. Yeah.
So, okay, so if someone else's foolishness pulls me into my own sin, then I have allowed their foolishness to become my master in that moment. Right? So, David is standing at the edge of this moment, okay? And we are about to see Abigail come to the rescue here. And obviously, we're probably just going to end there so we can pray. But I do want us going into this week looking at David being able to take a moment where he's face to face with the guy who's been trying to kill him and then be so incredibly full of forgiveness and just like, okay, but then this little tiny thing to where someone poked at his identity and his pride and he is strapping on a sword. So what area of like our own lives do we have a wound that maybe we haven't healed, maybe is not like scabbed over. So if somebody touches it, we're going to respond. And then we need to look at that and we need to say, okay, how am I building my identity around this? Because why does it bother me so badly when someone touches this part? Why does it bother me so badly? Why am I so willing to lean into the flesh in my responses when somebody mentions this area of my life? I get so incredibly defensive over things like when people try to tell me like that I'm doing too much. Like I need to like, you need to step away from something. You're overdoing yourself. I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to share anything with you ever again because that's just what I'm incredibly defensive of because I know that I'm doing too much, right? Like I know that. Like you ain't gonna tell me that. I know. I'm getting rid of one of my classes. Leave me alone. Like that's all I'm doing. So
I actually have an example
yes.
of that for me. I get super defensive with my husband.
Mhm.
He's my husband. And I feel offended and insulted the most when he tries to like chime in on like parenting stuff, like I don't know, like if I'm giving the kids this and well, why don't they give them that or whatever? And that comes back to pride because I am with them all the time. I know them best. I know what I'm doing. I'm a grown woman, and he just tends to kind of, micromanage me. But
Listen here, you son of whatever her name is. Like,
and so I easily am insulted and offended because I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you telling me that? I got this. I know what I'm doing. I don't need you to tell me anything. And that like really hurts him because he's like, I'm also your dad. Like,
yeah.
He's like, I might know what I'm talking about, but I really struggle with. I feel like I've been getting better with that. I sin with pride with my husband. Just I think maybe because I am home with them all the time more, I feel like I know them best and I know what I'm doing and he doesn't know anything, if that makes sense.
Right. And so if you break that all the way down, it's probably coming to like your identity is you knowing what is best for your kids, and anybody questioning that is telling you you don't know what you're doing. And so like, and it's like in absolutes, right? Nobody's calling you stupid. He's not saying that, but we wrap our identity in whatever it is that we're like clinging to pride. Like, no, but this is where I know that I am shining. I am doing the thing,
It's also my kids. I don't have a lot of that's the only thing I feel like I have 100% control over.
Yeah.
Like, I can't control my husband. I can't control anybody else. Like, I get to decide
Yeah.
everything for them. And so when I feel like there's something primal about being a mom, like they came out of me. How can you possibly know what's best for them?
Okay, so then let's break that down even more,
No.
because they're not your kids, right? Back to
I'm not
defensive. But you know what I'm saying? So like, it just all comes down to us with this idea of what is ours. It is ours and nobody can touch it. I mean, yeah. So let's pray really quick, and then we'll have like 5 minutes that like I encourage you guys just to like talk and get to know each other a little better, because my prayer is, I know we only have next week, but you already have time carved out in your schedule on Tuesdays and Fridays. Continue to meet without me. Not here. But y'all meet, in your houses, like meet at parks, go out to dinner, June 12th. June 12th, right? Is that the date?
Yes.
June 12th is a Friday. Yes. So at like 8:00, we're all going to Marley's house. And because all of her kids can go upstairs and go to sleep and they don't wake up, and then we can all stay downstairs. So like on your way over there, if you're able to make it, just go through drive-through and get your own food, and then just come over and I have nothing planned. I'm doing nothing. I'm going to show up in PJs and we're just going to eat and we're just going to talk. Okay. And then we will do something in July, but yeah. So any questions on that?
What time?
8-ish. And then like whatever time you can come. So like if you put your kids down at 8:30, then come after that. Whatever. I promise we will be there later than I wanted to be. I promise. I always am. Every time I tell him, I'm like, because Marley only lives like right around the corner from me. And so I'm always like, it's not gonna be long. He's like, see you too in the morning. Okay. Any questions, thoughts? 8-ish. Just not before 8, because she'll be putting her kids down. Yeah. Okay. Any thoughts, questions? Okay, let's pray really quick, and then I'll go around and I'll show you all the shirts. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. All right. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this morning. God, thank you for just your constant reminder of ways that we can be more like you. Lord, I pray that throughout our week, that whenever we run into situations that we feel insulted or that we feel wronged in any way, that we respond in a way that reflects you, not ourselves. Lord, I pray for moments that we can reflect you. I pray that we do run into times that people are not kind, and that we can respond and show Jesus every single time. Lord, I pray that you give us uncomfortable moments. Lord, I pray that you stretch us and grow us in whatever ways that you see that we don't look like you. In your name we pray, amen. Everybody's like, thanks for that.
Right now.
Yep,
Thank you.
I'm
Second.
Were you able to see who was on it?